Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another Historical Humans Reacts, and today we are talking about something quite fascinating where the first passages of one of the Herculaneum scrolls has been revealed. What are the Herculaneum scrolls, you might ask?
Well, the Herculaneum scrolls are a set of 2,000-year-old uh, charred papers. They were scrolls rolled up. They were burnt to a crisp, and now all we have are these little blackened logs that we can't unfurl and we can't read. And they were turned to ash during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius when it destroyed the cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. These scrolls were found in Herculaneum, and in the over the past couple years, there has been something of an open bounty for people to claim on anyone who could decipher what was on them. Imaging and data from the scrolls was released, and everyone kind of went ham on it.
So, not just that, there's so much more context to it.
Yeah,
It all started when a bunch of people were looking into the scrolls, and one entrepreneur fronted $125,000. His name was Nat Friedman, who was intrigued by its scroll after watching a talk about them, and he donated $125,000 to launch it, and then eventually hundreds of thousands of more was released on Twitter, and like you said, it was an open bounty to try and read these charred logs. But not all hope was entirely lost, as what they had done was had in the past tried different types of scans to see within the scroll, to be able to
yeah,
read it without actually destroying it because it's just a petrified charred log. So
yeah,
they initially started with CT scans or tomography scans, which didn't work the best because it couldn't differentiate between the ink and the scroll itself. However, with more modern scanning techniques, we are able to get what looks like this scribble. It looks like the cross section of a tree log.
yeah.
However, a bunch of people who were a little bit smarter than myself thought, hey, what if we trained a. Well, actually, the first person actually decoded it as what former physicist Casey Handmer noticed a faint texture in the scans similar to cracked mud, and he calls
Yeah.
this crackle that formed the shape of Greek letters. And what they did was they took these crackle and they used computer learning, AI, artificial intelligence, to extrapolate beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah, a man named Luke Ferreter, who was an undergraduate in computer science, was able to decipher the Greek word for purple using the crackle and using a machine algorithm. He won the prize for unveiling the first word in October. So this has all been the past like few months finally coming to a head and things finally coming out. This then snowballed with a PhD computer science student named Youssef Nader, uh, making even clearer and more precise images of the text to further this along. And he, of course, got second prize. 3 months later, they released their code for everyone else to use to see what they could get. And since then, things have kind of exploded.
Well, one of the things that they did was they opened the code so anyone can use it, and
Yeah,
in doing so, they were just able to crowdsource all of the necessary computing power to try and do this, and they ended up getting bits of text extrapolated, which were then verified and cross-examined by translators and by papyrologists. Wow, that's a very, very niche subfield, but papyrologists. And they were able to validate that the words had cohesion, that the sentences made sense, that this was actual writing that they were deciphering.
yeah,
Which that I think is probably the coolest part. The fact that not only are they able to read this, they're in my mind they're able to read these lines like a record player, where it just looks at all these grooves, and then from there that encapsulates the wording, the waves of the words.
Yeah, and yeah, no, it is mind blowing how they were able to do this using, you know, given what they had, which is, paper thin lines that had to be unfurled and then checked for uh almost non-existent ink.
Which is the
Um,
same density as the papyrus, which makes it even harder to differentiate. And the fact that this is just the start, they have only managed to do a few passages so far. Not even anything crazy.
yeah,
But
no, no, definitely. And a quick shout out for the final winning team was the aforementioned Ferreter and Nader alongside a roboticist named Julian Schillinger uh, out of Zurich. So kind of got a little bit everywhere there. But yeah, that was the winning team, and congratulations to them.
well, that's how a lot of these research projects go,
Yeah.
especially of this scale, is it tends
Oh
to be
yeah.
a collaborative effort of people of many different subfields. But this also sparks a really interesting debate and something that a lot of people feel very passionate about, but it's the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in using this. Like, this is definitely an argument for the validity and for the usefulness of AI, just seeing how much it's able to impact us here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And this is a very positive use, and it should be noted that we have had these scrolls since the 18th century. That was when they were excavated. They have been uh, on display in museums and in collections since then. And yeah, we haven't been able to figure out what could possibly be on them until now. And even with all of our 21st century technology that's finally allowing us to do it, the AI was able to do it in 3 months.
Yeah, which as it learns, as it gets stronger, as it's able to differentiate better, the use cases for this only expand. I mean, there are points where we can start salvaging historic books that may have degraded to a point where they can no longer be safely opened.
Yep.
And
Yep.
being able to digitize that information and pull it and permanently save it off a physical object. There's again, it opens up another debate about the validity of digital archivization of materials. And I know that's such a weird thing to think about, but when it comes to archives and file formats, in the past 30 years, the file formats have changed massively to the point where there's
Definitely.
no standardization. So it's a double edged sword.
It is a double-edged sword. What is very exciting too, aside from the AI, is what the papyrus actually seems to talk about. These Herculaneum scrolls are the only ancient library to quote unquote survive to modern times, and they appear to be the working library of a Epicurean philosopher named Philodemus. Um, and uh, Philodemus has in some of the stuff that has actually been deciphered contains a reference to a flute pet player who is only mentioned two other times in history. This flute player named Xenophantus was said to be so evocative that Alexander the Great once tried to kill him for playing the flute. So we have what could be further confirmation of one of history's funnier anecdotes in this philosopher's workshop here.
But yeah, this is a good beginning jumping off point for us to have this conversation, and thought it was important to talk about. But I think that's actually a good point for us to wrap up here. And yeah, if there's anything you'd like us to see or how you feel about using AI in academic research, let us know down below, and we'll see you in the next one.